Hello, I'm Robin. Welcome to Bookspin. Today, I'd like to talk about a book which I picked up recently. The Rediscovery of Man, the complete short science fiction of Cordwainer Smith. This was published by Nesver Press in 1993. It's a nice chunky hardback, as you can see, and this contains every SF short story that Cordwainer Smith ever wrote, totaling 33 stories. These stories were originally published in the 1950s and 60s for the most part in various magazines. And so I've set myself a goal of reading all of these stories and discussing them each in turn on this channel. So I'm going to make a review on each story. This is not something I would normally do. I don't normally create standalone reviews on short stories. But I think in this case, it's a worthwhile project. Cordwainer Smith is an author that I really want to explore more. I think he was a masterful short story writer. And I think he's a bit of an underrated or underappreciated author. So I think he deserves to get more attention. Now, what I've read of him so far, I've absolutely loved. So I previously read this book, which is rather confusingly, it's got the same title, The Rediscovery of Man, SF Masterworks Edition. This is, in fact, just a selection of his stories. This contains 12 short stories, originally published under the title The Best of Cordwainer Smith. I really love this collection. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's probably my all-time favourite short story collection, because there aren't any stories which I didn't like in here. This contains some of my all-time favourites, like The Game of Rat and Dragon, The Crime and the Glory of Commander Sizdal, Scanners Live in Vain, things like this. And this collection introduced me to some of the most captivating and strangest stories that I've ever read in any genre. So these stories are set within a future history called the Instrumentality of Mankind, and that's where most of Cordwainer Smith's stories take place. It's an extremely creative and bizarre fictional universe that explores mankind's far future. So if we go back to this volume, right, and let's have a look at the contents page, you can see it's split into two sections. Stories of the Instrumentality of Mankind. So most of the stories in this book are from that future history, although there are a few at the end under other stories which don't fit into that universe. And one thing that I appreciate about this book is they have been organised by the editor chronologically. I don't mean in order of publication, I mean in order of story sequence, which is no easy task because I don't think Cordwainer Smith ever made an official timeline. So there is a bit of sort of deduction and guesswork going on here. So yeah, I can now read all of these stories in the order of the story chronology as best as possible. But in addition to these stories, there is also one novel which he wrote, which is in the same universe, and this is called Norstrilia. Okay, another SF Masterworks copy, the one and only science fiction novel that Cordwainer Smith wrote. So I haven't read this. I'm looking forward to adding this to the project. I might as well. So between these two books, this covers everything, all of his sci-fi. Now, I just mentioned that rather can be confusing chronology. One thing that helps out here is at the back of this book, there is in fact a timeline. This, again, it wasn't created by Cordwainer Smith. This was compiled by J.J. Pierce when this particular book was first released. So this is pretty handy. It gives you an idea of when the events are supposed to take place. And it gives me a good suggestion for when I should read Norstrilia. Because if we look at the timeline, Norstrilia appears here, around the year 16,000, under the stories Mother Hitten's Little Kittens, Alpha Ralpha Boulevard, and the Ballad of Lost Camel. So that's probably when I'll read the novel, after I've read those particular stories. So yeah, I have already read the first 2 stories in this volume. I will be talking about those soon, so look out for those reviews. I think this is a kind of long-term project. This is not something that I'm going to get done quickly. It's going to take me a while to get through all these stories. I'm just going to kind of dip into them every now and then, probably between reading other things. And I don't expect to make really long or detailed reviews, just sharing my thoughts after I've read each story. We'll see how we get on. So, yeah, keep an eye out for those reviews, and in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.